Now, be honest, has your team impressed you in the African qualifiers, or did you have to bring out that calculator and try to work out if it's still possible to go to Canada, USA, and Mexico in 2026? SC, people have been bringing out their calculators for these qualifiers, really.
It's too early for that, man. It's too early for that. I say early in a sense that you look at the top teams, you look at, I'll talk about Group J, which is a group that's made up of all the runners-up teams. You look at that alone, it's still early. Let's
There's
just give
still
it a
so
little
much
time.
to play for.
Exactly.
Okay, let's quickly give everyone like a group-to-group analysis from Group F. Group F, we see what Cote d'Ivoire is doing, a very interesting group. They have Gabon right behind them. The likes of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang really wants to go to the World Cup. At the age of 35, he's still banging in the goals, and it's a very interesting group.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you speak of Aubameyang. I mean, he wants to be at major tournaments, and conversations on football is that which major tournaments have you played? What have you produced? We saw the Jamie Carragher story. Sorry that I bring it up, but at the end of the day, you look at that. Questions around that speaks volumes. So if you look at what Gabon is doing in their Group F, it's something amazing, man. And we can't doubt that they are going to actually push teams such as Ivory Coast. But for me, I have to say Burundi has something to prove here in this group. So we'll see how it pans out.
We'll see what happens in the next group. Algeria nearly spelt Mozambique with the scoreline there. 5-1, sending a strong message to them. Even though Mozambique is second in that group on 12 points, and Algeria, they're on 15. Shout out to Ray Admirers, who has made it a century of brilliance.
Yeah, shout out to him. But also, when you look at these qualifiers holistically, you also have to look at the domestic leagues. It speaks volumes in terms of how high they are. I mean, Algeria has a better league than Mozambique, if you look at it financially, so speaking, and in terms of development as well. It tells you that that's why Algeria finds themselves in this position. So you can look at most groups and you look at the top teams or the top countries. It literally speaks to that. You look at a group such as the group that we were speaking of, when you look at an Ivory Coast and a Gabon, and you also look at where the players are playing also. That speaks volumes as well. So,
yes, it seems like North African football is just shining and soaring high. I mean, the Eagles of Carthage had to leave it late. They scored 2 late goals to eventually soar as high as they could against Malawi. 2-0, that came from 2 set pieces.
Yeah, look, it's not an easy game for them, but they went out there, they put their best foot forward, and they came out with a result. So when you look at that alone, it does tell you that we're going to see fireworks come September. Yes. I can't wait.
Yes, and in the last group, Ghana. Now, Ghana and Nigeria have a little bit of a rivalry, and most Nigerians, not me, most Nigerians were waiting for Ghana to stumble. They enjoyed Ghana not...
Actually, it was South Africans against Nigerians. I'm surprised you say it's Ghana.
Yes, no, Ghana has shut up all their critics and they've come back with a bang. The resurgence of Ghanaian football was one of the stories of the World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah, most indeed. I mean, after having such a horrendous 2023 season, they come into these qualifiers fired up. Refreshed team, as I said earlier on. You look at the naturalized players. You look at the new captain, Jordan Ayew, who took from his brother. It speaks volumes when you look at the team. And they've enjoyed so much, with losing players such as Artu, May, so rest in peace. You look at those kind of things. It speaks volumes into the team. And the FAE, that wasn't settled. And now it seems as if like their FAE is settled. And hence the team is in this position. But this group, I'm telling you right now, Comoros, to me, it's giving me something of a story out of this world. I mean, a country like Comoros, sitting at position 2 when there's Mali in there, there's Central Republic and there's Chad. To me, it says they're doing such a great job.
Yes, and another one of the stories of the World Cup qualifiers were the 13 players that were welcomed to the continent who represented European teams but changed their nationality to actually follow their hearts and play for their fatherlands. Now, let me give you their names. Hassan Diao, who played for the Spanish under-17 team but decided to represent Senegal. Also, we have Dani Namaso and Nathan Ngomo, who played for England and France respectively but decided to represent Cameroon. And then the last name I have here is Chemsdin Talbi, who played for the under-17 Belgium team, but represented Morocco. Well done to these guys, and I hope we see more players coming back to Africa and representing the continent on the world stage.
Look, my point in this conversation is that I hope these players are not coming into the country because they are falling out with these European countries, and they come into our continent and anticipate that it's going to be a smooth slide. We need players that are patriotic about the continent and about their own countries. So for me, I'll give those players a benefit of the doubt and say, hey guys, still young and they're going to get there. For me, I also reference a player such as Ibrahim Diaz, who plays for Atletico in the Spanish league, naturalized as well into the Moroccan team. And it tells you that he's a player that has seen that, you know, he's not going to make the Spanish lineup. I mean, the names in that team are just insane. But he comes into this one and he plays a good game.
SC, I have a surprise for the viewers at home. They wouldn't believe the names that make my African diamonds this week. Let me give it to them. Coming in at number 3 this week is Victor Osimhen. Now, you have to feel for the Super Eagles' lethal number 9. What else does Nigeria's main hitman have to do to play in a World Cup? The Galatasaray star scored twice to help Eric Shell's men secure a vital 3 points in Kigali on match day 5, and then scored a beautiful diving header on match day 6 to put his team 1-0 up against Zimbabwe before Tawanda Chirewa spoilt the party in the dying minutes of the match. The former CAF Player of the Year expressed his frustration after the final whistle and even lashed out on teammates like Victor Boniface, who were trying to calm him down. Now, wow, it is well, my brother. Coming in at number 2 this week is Jordan Ayew and Thomas Partey. Captain Jordan Ayew's leadership qualities was on full display as he orchestrated much of Ghana's play from the wings and sometimes from the central position. His tireless running and ability to maintain possession contributed to the fluidity of Ghana's attack. His teammate Thomas Partey was the backbone of Ghana's midfield. His contributions in these 2 matches were nothing short of wonderful. Against Madagascar, Partey scored a brace, both of which came from headers. His aerial dominance, his ability to position himself in the right place at the right time, his work rate, defensive cover, and how he controlled the tempo of their 2 matches proved to be vital assets for the Black Stars. At number 1 this week, can I get a drum roll please, is Mohamed Salah. The Egyptian king brought his EPL form to the African World Cup qualifiers. The Liverpool winger was unbelievable for the Pharaohs, scoring 5 goals in 4 matches. This made him the top goal scorer of the qualifiers with 6 goals. So yeah, those are my African diamonds. When we come back after the break, we'll be talking more African football. SC Kadebe, thank you for joining us. Always keep that phone on, even when your team is losing. I will see you again next week.